The emergency meeting was called for dawn, and you arrived to find everyone already assembled around the polished table. The proposal seemed reasonable, the numbers looked solid, and the person presenting spoke with conviction about shared values and mutual benefit. But something felt wrong. Not in what was said, but in what wasn't said. Not in the confident gestures, but in the momentary hesitation before key answers. You faced the ancient challenge that has destroyed careers, relationships, and empires. How do you read character when someone knows they are being evaluated? Cato the Younger faced this problem constantly as a Roman senator, surrounded by colleagues who had perfected the art of appearing virtuous while pursuing private advantage. Unlike his peers who relied on gut feelings or surface impressions, Cato developed what we might call the pressure test system, a method for reading true character that cuts through performance to reveal authentic patterns. The foundation of Cato's method was understanding the difference between rehearsed virtue and spontaneous integrity. Most people can perform admirably when they know the stakes are high and the audience is watching. They arrive punctually to important meetings, speak eloquently about principles, and demonstrate concern for others when such demonstrations advance their interests. But authentic character reveals itself in unrehearsed moments when guards are down and consequences seem minimal. Cato learned to observe how people treated servants when they thought no senators were watching. He noticed who returned borrowed items without reminders, who spoke truthfully about small matters even when lies would be easier, who maintained their principles in private conversations where compromise would go unnoticed. These micro-behaviors became his true evidence, more reliable than any public speech or formal presentation. The first element of the Cato system is the consistency test across different environments. A person of genuine integrity acts with remarkable consistency, whether they are in the Senate chamber or the marketplace, whether addressing powerful allies or common citizens, whether the decision affects their reputation or remains completely private. This consistency emerges not from calculated strategy, but from deep alignment between stated values and actual character. When Cato evaluated potential allies, he would observe them in various settings over time. How did they speak about absent colleagues? How did they handle small disagreements? How did they respond when their expertise was questioned by someone with less status? These seemingly minor interactions revealed character patterns that grand gestures could never demonstrate. The second element is the stress response evaluation. Authentic character becomes most visible when people face unexpected pressure, time constraints, or competing loyalties. Under stress, performed virtues often crack, while genuine values hold firm. Cato would deliberately introduce mild pressure into interactions, asking unexpected questions, creating time constraints, or presenting scenarios that required choosing between different principles. Not as manipulation, but as necessary examination. When someone claims to value honesty, but becomes evasive under simple questioning. When someone speaks eloquently about loyalty, but immediately shifts blame when things go wrong. When someone advocates for justice, but becomes defensive when their own actions are examined, the stress reveals the gap between presentation and reality. Is the small stakes observation principle. People often believe their character is defined by how they handle major crises, but Cato understood that character is actually revealed through how consistently someone handles minor situations. The person who lies about small things will lie about large things when the pressure increases. The person who breaks minor commitments will break major ones when the cost of keeping them rises. Cato would pay careful attention to seemingly insignificant behaviors. Whether someone returned borrowed books, whether they arrived when they said they would, whether they followed through on minor promises, whether they acknowledged small mistakes or deflected responsibility. These patterns, accumulated over time, provided a more accurate picture of character than any crisis response. The fourth element is the loyalty under pressure assessment. True character often emerges most clearly when someone must choose between personal advantage and loyalty to principles or people. Cato would observe how potential allies responded when supporting their stated values became costly or inconvenient. When standing with their principles meant losing social status, facing criticism, or sacrificing immediate benefits, did they hold firm or find sophisticated reasons to compromise? When defending someone who had fallen from favor, required real courage rather than popular support. Did they step forward or step back? These moments of choice, particularly when the person believed no one was watching or when the consequences felt personal, revealed authentic commitment versus performed loyalty. The fifth element is the teaching versus talking distinction. Cato noticed that people of genuine character tend to teach through example, tend to teach through lectures. Authentic integrity shows up in consistent daily behavior that others can observe and learn from. Performed virtue shows up in eloquent discussions about proper behavior that somehow never translates into personal practice. When evaluating character, Cato looked for alignment between what people said was important and how they actually spent their time, energy, and resources. Did their daily choices reflect their stated priorities? Did their private behavior match their public advocacy? Did they demonstrate the virtues they recommended to others? This systematic approach allowed Cato to build relationships with people whose character could withstand pressure, while avoiding entanglements with those whose virtue was primarily theatrical. He formed deep alliances with colleagues who proved their integrity through small consistencies and maintained respectful distance from those whose character evaluation revealed significant gaps between presentation and practice. The modern application of Cato's method requires emotional discipline and patient observation. Instead of making character judgments based on first impressions, impressive credentials, or eloquent presentations, you learn to watch for patterns across time and situations. You notice how people behave when they believe no one important is watching. You observe their responses to mild stress and unexpected questions. You track their consistency between stated values and actual choices. This approach protects you from the costly mistakes that come from trusting performed virtue, while helping you identify people whose character can support genuine partnership. It allows you to build professional and personal relationships based on demonstrated integrity rather than impressive appearance. Most importantly, it teaches you to value authentic character in yourself, to focus less on how your virtue appears to others, and more on how consistently it guides your daily choices. Cato's method reminds us that true character is not a performance, but a practice. It emerges through countless small choices, made when stakes feel low and consequences seem distant. It reveals itself most clearly under pressure, when maintaining integrity requires real sacrifice rather than social applause. By learning to read character through evidence rather than impression, you join the tradition of those who build their lives on solid ground rather than shifting sand. If this moved you, comment "The Citadel holds" below. It is our sign that you carry the philosophy with you. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.